Our circumstances don't define us. Our actions do. We all have moments of impact. What are you going to do with yours? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Living the Sweet Life. I'm your host, TJ Sweet, and on this podcast today, we are fortunate enough to have somebody that is a new connection for me, that I hope is a lifelong connection for me. Her name is Melanie Curtis. I will give you a little bit of information about her. She has an incredible story. And she is smiling right now. If you're watching on YouTube, if you may be able to hear her smile through Apple and Spotify and all the other things. She's an incredible energy, incredible person, and she's going to share a lot today, in a lighthearted way, in a serious way. She's a keynote speaker. She's a podcast guru. She has her own podcast, but she's been on a bunch too. So before we do, as you know, hit the subscription button. This is all part of the process. Helps me, helps the show, helps really, honestly, you remind yourself every Monday on Mindset Monday when these episodes come out that you are still learning and growing, and that we all are still learning and growing, because Melanie and I are sitting here with you doing this podcast, and I know I'm going to learn and grow. I hope I had some sort of value back into Melanie's life here while we do this too. But I know that Melanie's going to positively impact your life. We're going to talk about leveling up. We're going to talk about fear. We're going to talk about skydiving and some world records, I think. I'm super curious about that too. But first, let me introduce Melanie properly. So she is a keynote speaker, a world record. World record. Probably look her up in some big book. Pro skydiver, peak performance coach. She's an author. She's a podcast host with 12,000 skydives. I don't know if I've never even kept count, right? 30 plus years in skydiving. 20 plus years in speaking and coaching. So she knows what she's talking about. She's refined it and she's crafted it, and you will hear that. And 8,000 plus coaching hours and 280 plus podcast appearances, which means, so as a podcast host, what I'll tell you, what that means is just knowing Melanie is enough for you to find the value and see the value in her. And 280 podcasts means 280 other hosts saw that Melanie needed to share more of her message with the world. They weren't trying to get something from her. They were trying to give something to their audience. And that, honestly, I just connected with Melanie last week, and I am super, super excited and grateful to even be in Melanie's circle, her sphere. We're not even in the same state or the part of the country. But the beautiful thing about technology that we like to complain about often is now, because of this, because of a group that wasn't random, that Melanie messaged me. I messaged out saying I'd love to connect, and then Melanie messaged and said, let's do it. From the jump, it was no pun intended for skydiving. It was instant connection, and she's incredible. So with that, Melanie Curtis, please. First of all, thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for our connection, but also for you spending time doing this with me today. So.
I am so excited. I seriously, like, you're not wrong. I feel like we are cut from the same cloth, and it's just, it's easeful to be in your presence. And I mean that in a really earnest way, which allows, I think, real truth and actual, like, the highest value to come out, whether you're even just chatting as a friend or just a person getting to know another person as a new connection, as it were. I don't know. I feel like that's what I get from you. So I am very happy to be here. I'm happy to be in service. I'm happy to talk about world records and all that stuff, but I'm also happy to talk about all the other stuff too, which usually, the world records carry kind of the topics that I talk about, but a lot of depth comes on the heels of that.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too that I've been able to recognize about you is, a world record might, I don't even want to, this isn't even probably how I fully mean it, but it's kind of something to where it's an introduction. But the reason why people want to stay connected with you is because of your heart.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's funny, the keynote speaking, pro skydiving, coaching stuff, the skydiving is the largest part of my career. I joke
Mm,
that it's one of the great loves of my life. It is very much a first love. And so much so that I found skydiving when I was a very young person. I did my first jump when I was 18 and just was
mm,
fundamentally altered, such that I made every decision in my adult life from that point to include skydiving in my life. And that's why I have such an expansive career now, 30 years later. And so that part of my story is just the shiniest, the sexiest. It definitely has depth, but for sure it's a door opener because it's unusual. Skydiving is a very fringe thing, not to mention doing this fringe thing at the absolute like elite levels. So like you can't do and you can't participate in or set a world record in skydiving the way that we did, which just to give a very brief context about what that actually is. I'm one of 80 women doing the largest all women's formation, vertical formation. So we're jumping out of 5 different aircraft, 80 women going upside down, 200 miles per hour. And we're building a predetermined formation. If even one grip is off, it's not a record. So it's like this jumping from 20,000 feet. It's just unbelievably rigorous mentally, emotionally, physically. It is the most intense environment imaginable, and I'm not overstating that. I am retired from these types of records because I'm good. Like,
mhm,
I would
mhm,
rather take what I've learned from that environment, from that part of my skydiving career, from that part of being in friendship and teamwork and connection and all in leadership, all that stuff. And now I get to dovetail it into my coaching, into people that want to do that in different lanes of their life. And I get to use it as an inspirational vehicle, but to help people in so many different ways, which to me now is where I am fulfilled.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about skydiving too is a lot of people do things once because it's on a bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
And then I it's always like a dream thing to do. But for you to go from I did it once to what you've done, I think honestly, like it makes so many people curious, myself included, just curious about, because it wasn't just passion, right? It takes a lot more than passion. Like you can't just like to skydive to do the things that you've done,
It's
right?
very true. Very true.
You're right. Yeah. And it's like you can't just be the adrenaline
Mm-hmm.
chaser, right? Like there
Correct.
has to be so much more intentionality to this. And, and
Yeah.
again, I think that's as a keynote speaker going up and saying that, or even as a coach, it's not that you've done it for me. It's the who you became to be the person that did it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right in that not all skydiving is created equal. Not all pro skydiving is created equal. Not saying that in a superior or inferior distinction. I'm more saying it just
Mhm.
there are different ways to do it. I am a very driven person. I
Mhm.
am a deep immersion, love to experience things at their furthest extent. So that's something notably present in my story. Skydiving is just one example of that. So for
Mhm.
me, my core topic, like as a keynote speaker, I'm talking about how do we access those far reaches of our human potential? Because
Mhm.
for me, I deeply love people. I like deeply love people. I am infinitely fascinated by our human experience, not just me individually and what can I do individually. That totally excites me, hence all the weird crap that I've done and continue to do to this day. But it's also in terms of how deeply can I connect? How deeply can I love? How deeply can I access and explore my own consciousness? All of those things show up in my story. My
Mhm.
art, how can my art take up more space in the world to be a bigger boulder in the pond that makes more ripples? Like all of that really excites me. And so for one thing that matters to me a lot is doing what I want, but as a piece of leadership. Like, I feel like I'm being the highest contribution I can to others in this world when I am actually bravely honoring what's there for me. You know what I mean? So if I want to make, like, I did this large art installation project, which was kind of relative to my advocacy for women and whatnot. Long story short, it was this like skirt project where I took a bunch of old parachutes and I was like, oh, I'll like kind of, you know, make this large skirt and wear this shirt that says I am here, like kind of women taking up unapologetic space in the world, right? So we made this like first round of this project and it was cool. And I talk about this a bit in my keynotes, but it was pretty cool. But then I was like, oh, but we like, so then we started thinking about it, like, how can it be, you know, like more, you know, like bigger. And not that everything needs to be more and bigger, but in this case, that's where the inspiration kind of drew us. So we got a bigger ladder. We built this entire understructure with like PVC pipe and 2x4s to make this giant like petticoat where I look like this fantastical giant woman that is like completely not in reality, such that you have to look twice at it and you have to engage like, hey, what's going on there? And that sort of as part of connecting to the message itself. So anyway, that's just one example, but there's arguably no reason for me to have done that, but I just wanted to. But now it's like a story that's kind of put some ripples into the world, both for creatives in my life, but it's just another example for me of honoring my life force, honoring my intuitive callings, and hoping that makes a positive difference for other folks.
Well, I just keep learning more and more about you, and you know, and I think the energy that I feel from you too is oftentimes people get stuck in the why.
Yeah.
And where I feel like, and I don't want to speak for you, but I know a lot of times, even for myself, because I think more about possibilities and less about probabilities.
Okay.
And the sense of how likely is it that I could do that thing? I think about it like, is it possible? Because then I'm going to go do the thing, you know? And it's also like this energy of, if it can be done, I can do it. And if it hasn't been done, I'm going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
And there's just like this energy about you that is just, honestly, it's exciting for me to think about. Is, you know, I think oftentimes we are just, when you talk about human potential, I'm curious about that too, because oftentimes human potential is based on previous experiences and previous achievements.
Right.
And so how do you, obviously you speak about it and you coach about it, but like, how do you help people kind of begin to think larger, differently, wider, whatever the word is?
Yeah, totally. I think one of the there's plenty of things I could go to, obviously, on this type of question, but I would first probably start with looking at the fear piece. So what I love that what you're bringing up is an important part of a skill or a mindset or a deep knowing that once we have it, many, many more doors to our quote unquote potential open for us. You're talking about confidence versus capability. Like when we actually start to ground in and have true earned confidence in our capability, not to do everything. Like, who knows? We're going to try new stuff. We might fall on our freaking face and suck at it, and we might whatever. But what you point to is that I know I can learn pretty much anything. I also know that I am a gritty or mother, whatever, you know, I don't know if you swear on this podcast, but you know what I mean? Like there's that. Yeah, I know. I definitely sometimes curse.
That's all right. Yeah, it's just a button we click. It's fine.
But that comes from, in my experience, and to each their own, this is an expanded conversation for sure. Always, any part of this is. But for me, that comes from the fear piece where I am afraid of doing something, but I try to do the thing anyway. It sounds super cliche, right? Wildly cliche. Feel the fear, do it anyway. But when we think about that practically and what it delivers, like quite like empirical data points for us, how we feel differently on the other side of doing a thing that we think we can't do, it's crucial to then over time start to like creak open the doors of I can only do this narrow slice of the pie. We do one more thing, we creak those doors open just that much more. And it allows us to see outside of the limited view we have had of ourselves before that thing. So it is not just inspirational, memeable bullshit, right? It's really the way to step ourselves iteratively forward into actually believing and feeling and knowing that we can do more. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of the process of this is some of my own personal journey, but like the focus on becoming instead of being, like this identity of somebody who's willing to be bad at something in order to be great at it. And you hear all these people say these things. It's like like a commencement speech 101, right? So it's like, be willing to be bad at something, be bad at, but it's a matter of, everybody has a starting point and all these different things, but it's also because I'm the same way in a lot of things. So whenever I do anything, I figure out who are the best and what are they doing about anything. Like even playing golf, I can't just play around a golf.
Yep.
I'm literally trying to shoot the best score I possibly can every single time. I just played yesterday, played one of the best rounds I've played in a really long time.
Nice.
And I'm just thinking about on my way home, how am I getting better? What did I do differently today? Like, I just can't shut that piece of my brain off. And so like, even like my dad's playing pickleball now, and now I'm watching videos on YouTube about pickleball. I'm trying to do all these things. I'm practicing on my own against a wall now. Like I didn't play pickleball 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now I want to be the best pickleballer I can be, which is different than the best pickleballer in the world. And so it's just this thing all the time. Right. And even if it's leadership, because I'm sure you talk to, I don't know the audiences that you speak to, but I'm sure a lot of it is probably some leaders. Is that fair?
Yeah, sales teams, leaders, type A, male-dominated spaces, but also women-centric spaces. Both. Skydiving is a very male-dominated space, but it's really about driven professionals, Okay. So whether it's women-centric spaces where I'm a very strong woman embodying these sort of expanded states, or in a male-dominated space where women struggle, but also where men are like, whoa. Driven, just either any gender looks up and goes, okay, that I can get behind because that's cool, that energy. Not everybody resonates with my intensity, with my energy, but the people that do really do. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like, it's not even again, not a negative judgment in any way. It's more just that like, there's some people in the world who are like, yeah, that, what they're doing. And so I love that you're pointing to this. Two things. I want to talk about the identity piece, who you're becoming. But before I go there, you mentioned about, I just want to like get better at it. I'm looking up the best people. I'm learning from those coaches and all that stuff. That's awesome. Ahead of that, I invite people to give themselves permission to like that. To give themselves permission to be ambitious, right? Ambition is a dirty word in a lot of respects. People think it's really like a negative thing. And sure, there can be versions of anything that are the dark shadow version of that thing. But when we're talking about being excited by excellence or being enlivened by experiencing ourselves beyond where we have experienced ourselves, there's nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful and fun. And there's so much wonderful life force out on those edges, right? It's, again, I almost hesitate to use the word edge because it's so freaking cliche of a word, especially when you're talking about skydivers. But when we're talking about just growth, expansion, it's in that realm of the unknown. Like fear lives there. We cannot ever go there without being activated. So to your point about what did you say? You said like, be willing to be bad at something, right? That's an example of a way to do it. That's one way to start to coach ourselves into being able to do a thing that's scary or hard or whatever. How I identify, for example, is I am a brave person. I'm a brave person. I know it. I've proven it to myself over decades of living, right? I know I'm a brave person. And does that mean I'm always good at what I do? Heck no. No way. There's plenty of stuff that I stink at, obviously. But more to say, my success is rooted in showing up that way because I believe that's a contribution. That's also in alignment who I believe myself and know myself to be, such that I'm honoring myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's honestly, that's perfectly said, of which I think oftentimes what struck me there was arrogance versus brave versus confidence.
Yeah.
Right. So like showing up with bravery is based on past experiences and true self-awareness. Where I think arrogance comes in is lack of self-awareness and hope.
Yeah. Arrogance. Oh, brother. Yeah.
I like to look at two sides, right? So
yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's I think arrogance is mostly rooted in fear, where you're mostly kind of afraid you won't be able to deliver again, whereas genuine like confidence, competence, capability in the trying of, the growing, the expansion of self and delivery, expansion of leadership, all those things, that humility is baked into that. We know, and that's a really scary thing, especially for people who have already succeeded. So I think back to just, I'm already a pro skydiver. I'm this cool, fancy, famous person in skydiving, right? And I have this calling to go toward this coaching thing. And this is like 20 years ago. Life coaching, quote unquote, not cool. Not even close to cool, right? I even was like, what in the hell? Life coaching? Like, I thought it was a total scam. I thought it was total crap. And I also had this part of my intuitive self that was like, it's either a scam or it's a part of your calling. So if there's even a shred of a chance that it's like a part of your calling, let's at least figure out if it's a real thing. Right. Right. So I then have to go on this kind of part of my journey to figure out, is this coaching thing real? Long story very short, figure out that it's real. But the point is that once I started going toward this life coaching thing, even though I had my intuition and that clarity of like, this is right and this is a part of my calling and I'm going to do it, there were definite times where I'm like, will people even like me? Like, I'm cool and popular and successful as this pro skydiver thing, but maybe I'll fall flat on my face on this coaching thing. I have no idea. I've no idea. It's very scary to sort of step into the next possibility when you've had real success and you enjoy the sort of security of that success in one lane.
Yeah. Yeah. The certainty of it. Right. So it's like, I'm safe in this space and I can do the thing. And, that's where I talk a lot about the gap, not gap. It's actually kind of two different pursuits. It can be two or, but aligned, but this idea of achievement and fulfillment.
Nice.
And, and for me, it's, and I'll say this because I'm guessing this probably resonates to you as well, but I also life coaching. Is this a real thing?
Yeah. Right.
Then it was, I have to have everything figured out, perfect ducks in said perfect row before I'm qualified to help someone coach them through their life. Like, who am I? Right. So, and I did that come up for you at all as far as like how am I qualified to do this? And do I have to meet a certain criteria in order to be eligible to do this?
I mean, let's just say I wrote a column probably 12, 15 years ago called Trust Your Ducks. So,
Love it. Love it.
so
Yeah.
let's just say, yeah, it resonates.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, I remember the first time somebody paid me $25 to talk to them on the phone as a coach. I was like, oh, in my mind, I'm just like, oh my God, this is a fucking miracle that what a person will pay me money to talk to them on the phone. Yeah, like crazy, and obviously that is a very youthful view of that, right? Of course,
Sure.
like that teammate status, like why our coaches now we're so much more understood for the value that we bring now.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of, corporations really get this, and a lot of leaders totally get it, that only the best of the best of the best have support systems. So that's another thing I teach relative to like accessing potential, is like, if you are still in the old mindset of, I can't have a therapist, or I can't have a coach, or I can't be in a part of a mastermind group, or I can't go to this retreat, or I can't do that, right? And I can't be a part of a community or whatever. Those are all crucial parts of our support system. We cannot exist in a vacuum if we want to really go to the far edges of what we're capable of. It's not possible. So you have to have it. So if you're not buying into that, I'm talking to you right now, person listening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to me. Yes.
To all of us, because it's a constantly evolving thing, right? I'm not in the same mastermind that I was in 10 years ago. I don't have the same coach either, so those support systems evolve over time as we grow and change, and our goals shift and change, and our values shift and change.
Yeah, and there's levels to everything, and and I've worked with some people in the past, and they wonder how long are we going to be coaching, and I just tell them honestly, I say an effective coach is not going to do the work for you, and an effective coach will not be a lifelong coach. Life coach doesn't mean coach for life.
Yeah.
Because that is still something that's also whenever people, just having a coach doesn't guarantee a result.
No,
But
definitely
not
not.
having a coach can almost guarantee a result. And I don't mean that because we're coaching, but I'm just saying, for two people, I have coaches, you have coaches, and so it's like, it's not a weakness. It's actually a strength to recognize. It is accountability. It's different thoughts. It's a partner on the journey. There's so much more than somebody just to tell me whether or not I'm doing good or not, which again, when you grow up in athletics, that's what a coach was kind of doing for us mentally, was correction. And, but it's also pushing towards potential.
Yeah.
And helping people recognize that. And I love the word human potential, the words human potential anyway. And there is a space to where, which I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Because not everybody, which is probably a good thing, but not everybody is trying to push everything to the limit.
Yep.
Right. But how do you talk to people who want to push to another level, but maybe it's not their limit?
What do you mean?
So like, they want to improve and grow, but it's not to become the professional skydiver, to become the best, helping people like believe in themselves enough that like the furthest thing it doesn't have to be the thing they pursue.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's just the next thing that maybe they want, and having that be okay instead of this like constant pursuit of the next.
Yeah, totally. Well, I, for one, as a uber high achieving type A, perfectionist, I'm like totally the recovering perfectionist, recovering people pleaser, right? So underneath those things, in a lot of type A folks, and I this may or may not land for people listening, but it's certainly my story. Underneath that stuff is a lot of pain, is a lot of fear, a lot of suffering, a lot of fear of rejection, a lot of fear of not being loved, like really deep, painful stuff. And so I've said this for a long time, but and I don't market this, but this is the experience that my clients have. So whatever their goals may be, whether they're like, heck yeah, I want to go to the freaking hilt. And that's what's exciting to me. And Mel's energy and her intensity. Yes, let's do it. Whether they're that person or whether they're like, man, I'm just struggling and I need help. And I trust her. I just feel like I'm drawn to her for whatever reason. And that could be any coach, not just me, right? That doesn't bother me at all. I don't need I'm going to go to the hilt type person. We just happen to vibe when that happens. You know what I mean? But sometimes I connect with type A individuals that are like finally admitting that they are really having a hard time. And then inside of our coaching, they get the experience of my love, which sounds so almost lame, but it's true. Like that space of uber non-judgment, if their goal is like, I want to, I don't know, whatever, do X tiny thing this week because I'm so overwhelmed because my job is XYZ or my family is XYZ or my spouse is XYZ, whatever, that's cool. Then that's what we're going to do. You know, like that really holding of a person in exactly what they are experiencing. So rarely do people get to be held in a container, in a relationship where they are truly not judged for whatever they say, you know? And so that is the real starting point. So to your point about, do you need to have X number of goal or X goal? No, not even close.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there's a crowd of which I may or may not be a part of it sometimes, but like, I had to learn that it's not all or not at all, or all or nothing. Right. And so like, if I couldn't do everything or the hour-long workout, I felt like I was like, it's a 20-minute workout. Right.
Right.
And it was like, if I can't do the whole thing, what's the point in doing anything?
Yeah.
And it was like, yes, I'm going to go I'm going to go practice the thing and I'm going to go practice the keynotes. And then people are like, oh, you have a cool little message to share on social media. I'm like, yeah, but a book and a podcast and keynote speaking and coaching. And like, and I still had a full-time job for the last 11 years. Like, and people are like, how are you doing it? I'm like, how are you not? Right. Like it's just like, but I think the thing is that you illuminated a little bit was just this. I do so many things that give me energy.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
That it's almost unrelatable at times for people.
Yeah. I have a lot of energy for life. I'm very grateful for it. And it's not something that I just have. It's not just because, I really acknowledge the work I have done on myself. Cause like one of the other pillars in the keynotes and what I talk about is I can talk a lot about up and to the right stuff about accessing our potential. So I talk about fear. I talk about, avoiding discomfort, these like things that block us from our potential, fear, avoiding discomfort, and then autopilot, like our habits and how they block us. And then I talk about our support systems, right? I talk about intuition and how crucial that is in our decision making and actually having confidence into the unknown, using that as a tool and a skill. And then I ground it all very intentionally in the idea of healing. So it's not just self-care. Self-care is the more palatable, like less intense term, but it's really about like deeper healing. Like if you really, we as people, high achievers, driven folks, whatever, if we really want to go to the expanses of our human experience, that means yes, up and to the right, but it also means down and to the left, right? Like if we go there, it's like if we go there, we can go so much further that way because we don't know a lot of times what's actually weighing us down. So like if you even think about it as this like almost like pulley thing where it's like if there's a heavy weight down there that we can't see, it's holding us back. And that's a lot of times what happens. So inviting that, grounding that, like learning in that piece and really inviting people into that idea, which if you then think about it, is really, really brave. So then it's like, oh, there's almost like, yes, it's freaking terrifying, but it's also like pretty exciting to like start to think about that. We probably don't have time to talk about this, but another thing that I talk about and share about and advocate for publicly quite rigorously is psychedelic healing, deeper healing, and just the legalization, decriminalization movement around these medicines and how they can really help people transform. Not everybody, like not all healing avenues are for everybody, but that's one that has helped me a great deal in my path over the last decade. And so it's important to me to be a voice for it in spaces where it, is slowly earning the favor it deserves.
Yeah, and talking about it a little differently, the more often that we talk about it differently, the more eyes and ears open,
Yep.
and I think that's an important thing too. And when you get into a biohacking
Yep.
space that people talk about all the time,
Yep.
it's when you talked about healing versus self-care, there's a downstream and an upstream to that. We do the self-care. Why? Right? Why do we get the massage? Why do we sit in the sauna? Why do we sit in the cold plunge? Why do we take time? Why do we take the vacation? It's not because we're in a peak state. It's typically
Right.
because we're in a healing state,
Yeah,
right? So
we
like,
need recovery. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And there's no shame in that. And that's where I think it's
Nope.
like I have a visual when you talked about pulley system, but I have this visual as well of like a backpack and rocks, right? It's a very
Mm-hmm.
simple thought, but
Yep.
it's a matter of inventory. So like kind of this deep sense of self-awareness of like really what is holding me back? And is it something that's true or
Yeah.
is it something that was true?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just so, this stuff is genuinely exciting to me.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, it's fun. Like, cause this is the thing. What's the benefit of doing this, right? Yeah, it's achievement to your point. Yes, it's fulfillment to your point. But it's also like, why do all the healing, right? Why do all the hard work? Why do all the like rigor, intensity? It's also incredibly fun when we like get to play in these other sort of lanes of what's possible. It's just really, really fun. And so for me, I like that. I
Mhm.
want to have fun. I want to enjoy my life. This is another kind of my rebellion against the tropes of our society. It's like, and this is me as a keynote speaker as well, is that partly I deliberately lean into like my comedic, my ridiculous, my nonsensical self as a rejection of like, oh, I can't be ridiculous and a big fat dork in the corporate space. Watch this, right? Because I can sit here all day long and talk with extreme authority on how to deal with the highest stakes scenarios, deal with and navigate my fear, move through discomfort, hold myself accountable, yada, build a support system, trust my intuition, be brave, all the things. I can talk about that with great seriousness, but that stuff is not sustainable if you are not at least having a little fun along the way, making fun of yourself, laughing, like delighting in what life actually is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing too, is so that's like a wisdom. That's what wisdom shows up like for me. And I heard this, I don't know who said it, but I heard Tony Robbins say it at one point.
Yeah.
But like in this age of information, we're all starving for wisdom.
Mm.
And especially right now, you could go to any AI, I'd say chat, but that's like a limited view now, right? You could go to any AI application and type in, how do I overcome fear?
Yeah.
But there's a reason why the gap doesn't close for most people. Some
Yep.
people it may
Yep.
work, right? But there's a gap that doesn't close. And it's because you don't see somebody being their authentic selves. You don't see yourself in somebody else's story. It's not the lack of knowing.
Yeah.
Oftentimes
Yep.
it's the lack of and the thing that I say a lot is the gap between knowing better and doing better is purpose.
Mm.
There's a lot of things that we say that we want. There's a lot of things that we, like, how do I live a healthy life?
Yeah.
If you're still wondering, you're not owning that you already know, but you're unwilling to commit.
Yeah, totally. Doing all these stuff is hard. It's
Yeah.
hard, hence the discomfort piece and what I talk about. One thing
Mm.
I just to briefly touch on this, I talk about this a lot, and have you ever heard the term type 2 fun?
Mm-mm.
Oh, TJ, you're gonna love this.
I can't wait. We got time. We got all the time.
You're gonna love this. I'm just like, I'm excited for you already.
Yeah.
Only because I know you're gonna be like, oh my God. When I learned the term type 2 fun, I was like, holy shit balls, my whole life makes sense. I was like, oh my God. Type 1 fun is basically stuff that's fun while it's happening. So like dancing, laughing with friends, dinners, whatever, stuff like that. Type 2 fun is stuff that's fun only after it's over. So like doing really hard things. So Spartan race. And this is a term outdoor enthusiasts use a lot. So like climbing a big mountain or skydiving world record, not fun. Totally not fun at all. But when you land, when you're done, when you've done the thing, you're like, oh my God, it's so much fun, so enlivening, so fulfilling. Like you feel so accomplished. So like those things, type 2 fun, writing a book, right? It doesn't have to be a physical challenge. It can be like just any hard thing. So for me, that reframe around discomfort is like, ooh, I know the fun, like what I'm going to get out of doing that hard thing. Right. So that's one thing I think is really important. The other thing, I don't want this interview to end without mentioning this, is that a big part of, I think, being able to do more or grow in the ways that we've been talking about today is acknowledging the fear of humiliation, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of looking dumb, of being judged, of being rejected by your friends or the cool kids or whatever, wherever that comes from, right? And so I encourage people who like to play in these types of lanes and experiences to start to explore that for themselves. So for example, this is a way it's showing up in my life right now, is that my Instagram, I am like totally leaning into my comedy, which I have done a little bit of in the past. This is not new for me, but I like decided, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, not that long ago. I'm like, I'm going for it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to lean in hard on my comedy and just maybe it'll be lame and nobody will laugh and maybe it'll be dumb. And it's so much fun. But like every day, almost every day, I'm putting myself out there in a way where I might look stupid, either deliberately, but also I might look stupid and no one might laugh. Right. So there's that risk there. There's that social risk that happens for you as a keynote speaker, for me as a keynote speaker, for us as entrepreneurs that what if we fail? What if our business closes? Like X% of businesses that never make it. Like there's so much risk of feeling and looking stupid. And so humiliation is a powerful word, but I think when we acknowledge that that's there and we start to do things that make us less afraid of it, we're a lot more free and liberated.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what is your Instagram?
Oh, yeah. Melanie Curtis 11. Yes, definitely come follow me and play, peeps. I would love to have you there.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you definitely should do that. Secondly, we're in a community together, kind of a WhatsApp group, but it's just a bunch of people that are of this energy, which is just incredible. But Melanie just shared some incredible growth, which I want people to hear, that in the face of potentially looking a certain way, she showed more of herself and more people showed up to see more of her.
Yeah, because it's true, because it's real. I mean, like I love a produced video just like anyone else, right? I do. I can respect somebody who puts together a crafted, high quality thing. Like that's in the lane of excellence and attention to detail. I totally respect that. And I also really respect the person who's just holding their cell phone up and walking on the sidewalk and saying something that's real and in the moment with no cuts, right? So like all of it, and this is just like social media or like messaging as an example of this type of idea, but a lot of people struggle to be on social media because they're like, oh, it has to be X or it has to be Y or oh my God, or I'm afraid of looking dumb. No one cares. And like people will stop thinking about you 30 seconds after they saw your video. So just go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario is they scroll. Best case scenario is they are inspired as well.
Correct.
Which is incredible. And again, it's being willing to see yourself first is what allows others to actually see you fully. We all desire the feeling of being seen.
Yes.
But we're stuck in this place of not showing who we actually are, which then inhibits someone from actually seeing us.
That's it. I don't even need to add to that. Mic drop. Perfect.
Well, and I think it's just like, it's an empowering moment to recognize that. And, you know, like this, my goal, honestly, is for people to feel seen and safe and valued with me, no matter who they are.
Mm-hmm. That environment, like I was touching on earlier, is what makes so much more possible for folks when they're like, wow, even if I am humiliated, even if I fail, even if I experience whatever thing I'm afraid to experience, I am safe here. And TJ will be there for me. TJ will not like me. You know what I mean? Like it's so deep and so real for all of us. And I think a lot of us ignore that that's there. But when we allow ourselves, to your point, to know and see ourselves that in that way too, then we can care for that part of ourselves that is afraid, right? And we can let that part of ourselves be held in a coaching relationship or a best friendship or a whatever, right? So I'm so with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's so much too that for me, my own personal experience of gets me emotional at times, but just this idea of earning through performance and through outcomes. And it's something that I've done a lot of work on. And the reason why it makes me feel this way is just like, if I could go back and tell the younger version of myself this stuff. I didn't have this version of me back then, obviously, but I needed to be that version then to be this version now. So there's no looking back, no regret, no wishing. But it's also this, like when you talked about pain, and you know, there's often two drivers that I experience a lot, is like pain or purpose are the two things that actually help us go to where we want to go. Oftentimes it is pain though. And it is often the no matter what love and the no matter what connection isn't a lack of accountability. It's a lack of judgment.
Correct. That's right. That's right. Yeah. I could talk to you for 18 hours about my best friend. By the way, let's just call out my best friend, Shannon Love. She's amazing. But yeah, I have other folks in my life that I feel are truly safe containers, like truly will love me no matter what. I only point to her because we've done a lot of healing work together. And it's just like, we've even talked about just on even early on in my entrepreneurial life, just like, what if I have no money and I have no place to live and I can't afford to buy myself food? Like, it sounds so insane, right? I'm not going to be without shelter and without food. I have plenty of support around me to not have that, but acknowledging the depth of that like concern, and to know that if ever I really needed that, she'd be there for me, and not with zero judgment. I got you. I got you. You are never going to be without a roof over your head and food to eat. Right? Again, sounds so basic, but this is what I mean by when we go like down into the left, we like go there. Is that there for you? And then like, who in your world do you have around you? And if you don't, let's talk about how we cultivate those connections such that that kind of love and safety can live for you, because it can. We can develop relationships like this and have support systems where our like, oh my God, yeah, like the amount of times I have cried on my podcast and the amount of times I have cried in front of Shannon and my various people, it's so important because those feelings are like real and true. And I thank you for sharing, TJ. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked a little bit when the first time we talked, it was quick, but it was gratitude came up. And,
Yeah.
and a lot of that is it shifts into abundance mindset because I'm so grateful for the people that I have and that I love. And the thing that I know that I'm meant to do is help people connect in a meaningful way
Yep.
and not to create connections to get something from them. In that way, most people say that people have connections. It's not really
Yep.
that's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it's an always connection
Yep.
that
Yep.
that you pour into.
Mm-hmm.
It is work to consistently maintain and nurture
Yep.
the connection, but it's also something that you find certainty and love and gratitude in that allows us then to feel like I have everything I need
Mm-hmm.
so I can pursue everything I want.
Exactly. I am safe. Therefore, I can
Mm,
pursue everything that I want. I have everything that I need and I'm safe. It's fundamental. But when we
yeah.
do have that, we can go bigger in life and we can experience those things that we've talked about today in terms of fun, in terms of achievement, fulfillment, etc. Because we're like able to be out in the world in a bigger way because we know we're kind of safe at home, whatever that home means to us.
Yeah. Yeah. More type 2 fun.
Yeah, type 2
Yeah,
fun.
but I know all about it. I hiked in the Grand Canyon. I'm calling it type 2 fun. I have a
Oh,
friend, his name's
heck
Ben.
yeah.
He's a type 2 fun guy. Like
Oh, yeah.
he's like every day he's sending me something of type 2 fun that I'm going to now have to tell him about. We're playing golf in a couple weeks. I'm going to talk to
Yeah.
him about type 2 fun and be like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
start labeling. Let's have a
Yes.
list of type 2 funs we want to do together. Yeah.
Totally. That is what I'm talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly all the deep healing work I've done with
Yeah.
medicine, psychedelic medicines, that's for sure type 2 fun. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that is not for the faint of heart. It's not fun. It's not a party, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The result of it is,
The
right?
result of it is
Yeah.
wonderful. Is
Yeah.
wonderful, incomparable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's honestly makes me kind of self-reflect a little bit too on what, I ask people a lot about fun and joy. And so it's maybe just a kind of a check-in of like, when are you having fun and what are you doing
Yeah.
right now that actually makes you feel like you're having fun and brings you joy? And if nothing else, be curious about that and do one thing today, whether you're good or bad at it,
Yep.
just to turn on some music, turn on some 90s hip hop if you want, and like, get after what used to bring you joy. It might bring you that same joy again. And I've shared this before on the podcast, and people like they sent me multiple messages saying, I haven't listened to that kind of music in 20 years.
I love it.
But it just brought me so much energy. It was like, bring it out and like go to Melanie's Instagram.
Yeah.
And you will do it too. Right. Like I said, the thing this morning, of which I'm not even gonna give it away. I was like, I'm so grateful that I get to know this person and
so funny.
be inspired by her. So
Thank you, my friend.
I'm going to
Thank
work on more of
you.
it too. So
Thank you.
yeah.
It's a joy. I'm so thrilled. I am so great. I am truly grateful our paths crossed. I mean, you know how that, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's really, really cool. And I'm very, truly grateful to know you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Me too. I nothing happens on accident. And
totally.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
God.
then
I feel like we could talk for 25 more hours, by the way.
For sure. We're
I'm
just getting started.
this is very difficult to end a podcast with you.
I know. It's like, all right, so part 2 will come next week when Melanie and I find time. We're going to have a 42-part series. Yeah.
Stay tuned for our 42-part series.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Hormozy and Williamson, some of those guys go like 3+ hours, and Diary of the CEO goes 3 hours,
Right.
and we just need to dedicate that kind of
totally.
Well, we'd still keep going.
Tim Ferriss. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. But so, Melanie, first of all, I will wrap up us for this episode. Hopefully we could do some more because more people need to hear more from you. But honestly, thank you for being the person that you are, for showing up in the way that you do for yourself and for us and for me. And you are type 2 fun for me. You're type 1 and type 2 actually, because like I'm actually authentically really enjoying this. But I know I'm going to be thinking about this energy and this conversation with you well beyond this moment. And so thank you for being you and for doing that and being willing to let me see you, and also to let me make me feel encouraged to do the same for you so that you see me fully.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I want people to know how they can get a hold of you. One, to hire you as a keynote speaker, because they should if they haven't. But coaching, just every way that you could possibly impact people's lives. So what's the best way to do that? And I'll put it in the show notes and everywhere that I share.
Perfect. Yeah. My website is melaniecurtis.com. And then definitely, like we said, Instagram, melaniecurtis11. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well. Those are my two main social media channels. I try to just kind of ditch the rest. And yeah, I welcome people to reach out. Mel at melaniecurtis.com is my direct email. So yeah, I'm just always grateful to connect with people, and just thank you so much for having me and sharing your whole team with me too.
Yeah, of course. This is just the beginning. I can't wait. We're going to meet in person someday.
I know.
And it's going to be incredible.
I know.
And we're going to probably do it in slow-mo. Yeah, a big hug in slow-mo.
Oh, yes. Manifesting that.
Oh, for sure. We're going to have some good music going. We're
Yes. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I love it. Yes.
Yeah, it'd be like two people like running towards each other.
Totally.
Yeah. This is going to be great. So all right. Well, I honestly, again, thank you so much. I will share all the ways that people can get in touch with you. Again, you are making people's lives better and bringing out the best in them in ways that is going to impact generations to come. So I'm super excited for that too. And as I wrap up, I will kind of quickly wrap up with everybody like I do every other time. I don't really have a whole lot to say. I'm still in this type 1 fun with Mel here, but start believing in yourself, start believing in what's possible, and just understanding that you're on a journey and that there are people like us who are also on a journey. And we just hope that throughout this episode that you learned a little bit more about us so that you could see yourself through our stories, so that you then start to lean into the fear, start to call out the fear, start to have some more fun, and heal, which I think is an important part of this episode, is just about healing and knowing that that is something that requires bravery and it requires courage to heal. But I encourage you to do that. We're all doing it. We talked about it. I got emotional. Mel gets emotional. It's because it matters. That's why we're healing, is so that we can be our best for ourselves and for the people that we love. And so I hope this episode impacts you. Take some time after you listen to this and really reflect on yourself, and again, nurture and create that safe space for yourself and allow other people to see you so that you can feel seen and loved and appreciated. So until next week, go be great, everybody. I will see you soon.